I was warned about this game. I was warned and I didn't listen. I'm gonna review it anyway. Hey, I am the Game Collector and this is Second Opinion Games, and today we do a review of Supercross 3D on the Atari Jaguar.
Second Opinion Games.
Supercross 3D is not your typical racing game on the Atari Jaguar. For one, you're on a motorcycle, and it's a dirt track. For two, the frame rate is about 7 frames per second, which looks absolutely awful. I think everyone can admit that the frame rate here is bad, and the game looks awful because of it. However, spend a little bit more time with it, and you'll eventually go into what I call Atari Mode, where your eyes just magically adjust, and all of a sudden you start seeing the track more clearly. And before you know it, you're racing around the track at incredible speeds without even falling over. How is this possible at 7 frames per second? I have no idea. So the controls. Well, the B button accelerates, the A button does tricks, and the C button is your brake. Don't expect any fancy tricks either. It's usually just you sticking your leg out or your arms up in the air, and it does absolutely nothing, from what I can tell, to help you win the race. However, sometimes I find myself pulling off these tricks anyway, just for giggles. Quick tip on the tricks though, when you're at the finish line with the little guy standing next to it, don't try to hit the trick button there. You will fall over every single time. Save them for the big jumps, but not the finish line, okay? So moving back to controls. If it's a really sharp corner, then tap your accelerate button. In this review, if you listen very closely, you could hear every time I'm tapping the button because it makes that little revvy sound. Also, sometimes these corners are really tight, and when you hit an untextured area at a decent speed, you will fall off your bike really quick and lose a lot of time and place. So, if you see yourself starting to lose control of your bike, let off the gas. If you let off the gas completely when you hit these untextured areas, you'll just sort of jerk her in and out there and go around them and continue on your way. You might lose a couple positions from guys passing you for a second or two, but you're not going to fall over and lose 4 or 5 positions. So, those are some of the quick tips that you could take with you to help you beat this game. And it is completely beatable. I have to give mad credits to the playtesters that had to put together this game, because I'm sure they were given a much worse game to playtest, and they had to make it to get to the point where you could actually play it and beat it. So I give them mad props. So the heart and bones of this game is Tournament Mode. So if you race really good and place in the top 3, then you move on to the next round, top 3 again, next round, and before you know it, you're at the finals. If you don't get in the top 3, you have to race again in a last chance race where you have to score either 1 or 2. Overall here, guys, it's not that hard to be in the top 3 most of the time if you take your time. Follow the tricks that I said about earlier, and before you know it, you're going to be acing races in no time. Maybe even get a couple first place. And then you can save it. Move on to the next city where there's the next race. And as long as you continuously win, save it. If you're not winning, reset. Here's another thing that I thought was weird about this game, guys, is normally when you hit the pound and star button at the same time for most games, it resets all the way back to the spinning Jaguar. Not Supercross 3D, it respawns right back to the main menu, which I think they knew that you were going to hit reset quite a bit for this. So I gotta give them props again for doing the right thing here. Now, I could have played this game for 1 or 2 races and said, you know what, forget it, this game is garbage. But before long, I started to really find myself vested in this game. I don't know if it's the music that kept pushing me forward, which by the way is pretty excellent, or the sound effects, but you know, There was a point there where my thumb was actually starting to hurt because I was pushing on the controller so hard to make turns. It was as if I thought the buttons were contact sensitive and it cared how hard I pushed on those buttons. I was really getting into the races and I was winning them left and right. You could customize your bikes by changing the shocks or the tires or the gear ratio, which by the way, I recommend having a low gear ratio and the hard tires for pretty much every race. It does give you a little bit more traction and helps you out. Just don't fall off and you'll end up winning. And I could have taken a lot of easy ways out of doing this review entirely. But before you know it, I'm almost all the way through the game, and I am loving it, despite the horrible frame rate. A lot of people absolutely hate on this game, and I fully understand if they do. But personally, I am having a pretty great time. At least a much better time than I had with Checkered Flag, and there's none of that rubber banding effect that game has. So, overall guys, the game really isn't that bad. Give it a chance. I understand if you don't like it, but maybe you will love it. But that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you like this review, please remember to subscribe. I am working my way through every single Atari Jaguar game, which is not an easy task, by the way. I don't think anyone else has really done it. So, leave me a comment. I want to know what game I should do next if I didn't already do it, and I want to know from you what you felt about this game. So, thanks again, guys.